We love our partnership with Illinois South Tourism, and Andy Waterman, Communications Director with Illinois South, is joining us, and he's brought a friend from Greenville, Jess Adam, Director of Tourism for the city of Greenville, Illinois, which is just an adorable town. As we were talking off air, this town square is so cute. But as soon as Andy came in, he goes, I was listening, I don't know about all of the weird town names. We were talking about Knob, trying to figure out where all of these Knob Hills and Knob Creek and Knob, and a couple people in the text line said that knob is a term for a hill or a rounded hilltop area. So
there you go.
Very interesting. Do you have a couple of weird
we do in our
names that
territory?
stand off?
Yeah. So we've got Bone Gap. That's over.
Bone Gap.
Yes, that's over in Edwards County.
Okay.
We have Oblong.
Oblong.
Oblong. That's over in that's Crawford County.
What shape is that town?
It's oblong. Other ones that are not in our territory that I know of because I've driven through them or past them, Sandwich. There's a Sandwich, Illinois.
Okay, that's fun.
Right.
Yeah. Do
Right.
they have a good sandwich shop?
I don't know. I didn't stop. There's a Booty, Boody.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, those are some pretty good ones. Of course, today we are focused on Greenville, Illinois, and Jess is here to tell us about Heritage Days at the American Farm Heritage Museum coming up this weekend. You actually went to college in Greenville.
Yeah, I did.
And then left and came back because you were just in love with this cute town.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our community is so charming and friendly, and it's really nice living in a town when you drive down the street. Just about everybody waves hello at you, and yeah, it's a very loving place to live.
Yeah. Let's talk about Heritage Days.
Sure.
There's a lot of tractors when it
yeah.
comes to Heritage Days. So tell me about some of the stuff we can experience.
Well, besides those tractors, because kind of once you see one, you think you might have seen them all. But this event will teach you that it's very, there's a lot of different types and kinds. And one of the unique things about this event is they even have displays about before the days of the gas-powered tractor. So they're going to have teams of horses out there pulling plows. They're going to be doing some farming demonstrations for basically antique farming demonstrations,
Really?
like wheat threshing and then the plowing. It's going to be a fantastic time.
It's so funny. I was watching Channel 4 on Saturday morning while I was doing the yard sale, and Doug Vaughn had his, they give him Doug's Minute or something.
Right.
And he was complaining about weed eaters, and they brought somebody out with one of those big, is it scythe?
Yeah.
Big scythe. And you could clear a field so quickly with that thing.
Yeah, you just hope nobody sneaks up behind you.
Well, there's that. I mean, that thing was more efficient than the rinky-dink things we have now.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and that's what the American Farm Heritage Museum is really dedicated to, is preserving that history and trying to educate our folks now throughout the country about the way it used to be. And so it's really interesting. They throughout the year, there's always a lot of tractors on display. They have a lot of events throughout the year, but this is the granddaddy event at the American Farm Heritage Museum. And
What I think is so interesting too is, I did grow up in a farming town of about 3,000, and how expensive these tractors are now, and they're air conditioned and they have all of the high tech.
They drive
crazy.
themselves. Farmer Dave just sleeps in there.
Yeah,
Drives
right.
around the field.
For sure. But really, how times have changed.
Absolutely. And so you can go and see so much of that. There's a working sawmill. They're going to have a small gas engine display. There's going to have a rock crushing machine. So you can see kind of how our forefathers and even like the original settlers of this area cleared the land and made agriculture available to feed all of our ancestors.
What do you do with a rock crushing machine? Are you crushing it and then, gravel roads or something? I don't know.
Absolutely. So if you would be clearing a field, you might find a lot of stumps and stuff like that you'd have to dig out. But if you find a big boulder, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
And in those days, that meant you had to find a way to get it moved so it was more advantageous and usable if you could get that condensed down into smaller bits and pieces for it, like a road or a foundation, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So you can't have Heritage Days without some live music, and I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of delicious food.
Absolutely. There's live music all day, each of the 3 days of this event. Starting at 8 a.m. and going to dark Friday and Saturday, and 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Lots of music inside where it's air conditioned, as well as some on the outside.
Yeah.
So if you need to cool off, if it happens to be super hot, You can check all that out, and there's going to be a food stand that will blow your mind. And even yesterday, I was out there and I saw some folks setting up their tables and their food booths already. There's going to be homemade over a fire kettle corn, I believe.
Oh.
And so that will be absolutely delicious, I'm sure.
I didn't realize that Greenville, Illinois was known for its many museums. How many museums are there?
Oh, you asked me that and I ought to have the number in my head, but I don't. I think we've got, let's see, at least 5 of them.
And covering everything from what to what?
Really the history of our area of Bond County and of Greenville, all the way to a artist who worked exclusively with Frank Lloyd Wright and did all of the ceramic sculptures that were included in Frank Lloyd Wright designs, houses and stuff like that.
Wow.
And outdoor sculptures, and when Frank Lloyd Wright would have like the hanging gardens and stuff like that, this gentleman named Richard W. Bach was the one who made all of that. And his entire collection is housed in Greenville, Illinois, as well as an unbuilt Frank Lloyd Wright house we have the plans for in that museum, and that's on the campus of Greenville University.
Wow, that is super cool. Somebody says, speaking of clearing fields, do you have any idea why you see a lot of lone trees in a field?
Usually property line.
Oh.
Be a line of demarcation, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Somebody said you have to inherit farm these days. No way you could afford to buy one and all of the equipment. I believe that's why there are a lot of loans when it comes to that. So, Andy, what do you like about Greenville? When somebody says Greenville, Illinois, what immediately comes to your mind?
Well, I'm tourism, right? So obviously the first thing that comes to my mind for me, aside from the museums that he mentioned with Bach and DeMolin, which I'm sure he'll touch on a little bit more here in a minute, and obviously the American Farm Heritage Museum is, for me, tourism is, agritourism is huge lately. I mean, it's booming. So, you know, with places like Eckert's and Browdegams and all of them, the 2 places agritourism-wise in Greenville would be Marcoot, which we've talked about countless
Over and
times
over.
before.
And the sriracha cheese curds.
Mhm.
And
then-
hold on. And the coffee cheddar cheese. I don't know if you've tried that one yet.
I
had
have.
it last night.
It was a little odd, but it was really good.
Yes.
Coffee cheddar cheese.
Yes.
They also do like a pepper cheddar cheese. I think it's a I could go on and on.
Hash
but
pepper.
Go ahead.
Hash pepper,
Yeah.
yes.
So good.
The other place would be Rolling Lawns Farm. They have what's called the Milk House there in town, and you can go in, and they've got all different kinds of milk, and they also are doing their own ice cream now. It's absolutely delicious. On Saturdays they do donut days where you can come in, you can get their milk, and then you can have donuts. It is amazing, and they do different kinds of flavors of milk. It's not just like regular 2%. You know, they have those as well, but they also have strawberry, chocolate. They have cappuccino milk, which is not like a sweet like a frappuccino. It's like a coffee flavored milk, and it's it's actually really good. I enjoy it.
Is there caffeine in it?
There is not.
Okay.
And then they also have an orange cream milk, which is my son Will. That's his absolute favorite. And then they're big time around the holidays, known for their eggnog, which is really good.
Really?
Oh yes.
Dairy capital of Illinois. I'm sure that Greenville is incredibly proud of that distinction, but there's probably another city or community in Illinois that says, hey, well, now we're the dairy capital. Does a state have to get together and make that declaration, or can Greenville just say, you know, we got a lot of cows, we got Marcoot Creamery, we're the dairy capital?
Hey, we're self-proclaimed.
Okay.
So if someone wants to fight about it, we can have a
Bring it.
discussion.
Yeah, bring it on.
We have proclaimed ourselves to be the dairy capital of Illinois. It's so unusual to have 2 independent dairies working in the same town.
Right.
There's not that many independent fluid milk bottlers or cheese makers.
Yeah.
A lot of people in our area that have dairy farms sell their fluid milk to Prairie Farms to then develop and sell. But having an independent bottler and dairies like that, I think is really unique to our area, and that's why we are the dairy capital of Illinois. And Greenville is even home to a cow that's no longer with us, but Judy Schaufelberger was this cow's name, and she was
Judy?
Yes. Judy the
Wait, she had a
cow.
last name too, Heidi.
She was a model. So in a lot of the Got Milk ads and in a lot of Monsanto ads and veterinary medicine kind of stuff through Monsanto, Judy was the cover girl, poster child.
What were her qualities?
She was a beautiful Holstein. and
Black
she-
and white?
Yes, oh yeah. She'd give you the eyes, the whole thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Is every dairy cow that color?
No.
Black and white?
No.
Yeah.
Marcoute happens to use Jersey cows, and they're more brown, and they've got the bigger eye, something you might think of more from like a kid's storybook kind of cow. And then the Rolling Long Farms, they use Holstein, so that's the black and white spotted
Holstein
cow.
is that cow.
And there's even more than that. There's Swiss Alpine and more beyond that I know about.
What was that commercial where that cow was taking a shower in someone's bathroom? I'm gonna have to look it up. But
Okay,
maybe
well-
it was Judy. What was her last
I'm
name?
sure.
Schaufelberger.
Judy Schaufelberger.
I'm sure Judy was more modest than that. That's what I think. Let's take a short break and then we'll come back and chat more about Greenville, Illinois and Heritage Days at the American Farm Heritage Museum.
This is the commercial where the cow is taking a shower. Do you see
Hold
that?
on. No,
Jess, do you see that? That's a Holstein, right?
That is a Holstein. Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I've never seen that commercial ever.
You haven't?
No.
Kristen, you remember it, right?
Mhm, yeah.
Kristen remembers it.
I can't say I've seen it either. I'm sheltered.
Fine.
I'm sheltered.
So we are talking with Andy Waterman, Communications Director with Illinois South Tourism, and Jess Adam, Director of Tourism for the city of Greenville, Illinois. And Heritage Days is coming up this weekend, July 23rd through the 25th. But really, Greenville is a fun weekend getaway anytime. There's so much to see and do. And I remember the museum that has the pranks and the gags.
Oh,
What is
yeah.
that one?
The DeMolin Museum. Greenville has it's still an open working factory called the DeMolin Brothers.
And they make band uniforms? Or
And
is that...
currently that's their biggest portion of
Okay.
the business. But back in the day, so we're talking late 1800s, they were the biggest maker of fraternal organization initiation devices, pranks and gags. So whenever someone would join an organization like the Oddfellows or the Masons, they would usually be they'd be lovingly tortured a little
Yes.
bit and initiated into their order. And the DeMolin brothers made a bunch of the devices. So like a prank chair that collapsed to the ground.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And an old telephone that shoots water.
I was going to say, these were more fun pranks, not the ones that we see on the news these days with a fraternity at
Oh,
a
yeah.
specific
No.
college.
Yeah.
These are really
Absolutely.
friendly.
Yeah, a collapsing staircase.
Yeah.
What a great
guillotine. Yeah, a guillotine, a spanking
A
machine.
guillotine.
That is one of the biggest things, is a spanking machine. It's a device that the person had to bend over and grab a hold of these handles and pull up really hard, and when they did that, something from behind would come and smack them in the rear. And also, the pretty famous is they had these things called the bucking goats, which were these, basically like a stuffed goat on a like tricycle thing, and it would, the way it was built, it would bob up and down and make the person think they were on a real goat as they were blindfolded, and this thing was trying to run away with them. And so yes, you can go see all of these things as well as a lot of the textile work that they did. It's a fascinating place, super fun and funny for grandpa, grandma, as
Yeah.
well as the little ones. They love it.
Does the phone that sprays water in your face, does that still work?
It can still spray water, and
Do they-
it'll still
do they
fire
ever-
a blank.
Yeah.
They can't
Wow.
dial out.
Did they ever do demonstrations of these things?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
you can find them on
Good.
Facebook.
It is super interesting. How big is Greenville?
Greenville's population right now is about 7,000 people. So we're a small agriculture community, but we're growing and developing every day. We've had a lot of work in our downtown that's been developing, and we're seeing some more plans for the future for more development there. So the future's looking bright for us, and right now we're having a blast.
What about food? We got to talk a little about food and drink. What's going on in Greenville when it comes to food?
Well, one of my favorite places is Kahuna's Burgers and More. I know Andy loves that place too.
So much. My favorite is the Sunset Burger. Oh my
What is on a
goodness
Sunset
gracious.
Burger?
They have this sweet chili cream cheese that they put on there. I've never heard of sweet chili cream cheese before.
Sounds delicious.
It's life changing. It's a game changer. It'll change your life. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
It's so good.
Does it look like pinkish orangish, and that's what
Kind
they call
of,
it,
yeah.
sunset?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so good, and they've got bacon on there as well. Highly recommend.
Okay, we have lots of people weighing in on our Miracle Ear text line, 84126, wondering still about the trees. Now, some people say the lone tree in the field was the tree used as the fulcrum for pulling out the other trees. Thus, after pulling out the other trees, it was the only one left. A couple other people say that that is a tree so that there was shade for workers in the field.
Well, I think it sure sounds like they were multi-purpose.
I do too. We all love a good tree.
Well, how
It
about
has a lot of
that?
uses.
Uh-huh.
How about that?
I mean, Jess is very quick,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I love it. So Heritage Days at the American Farm Heritage Museum in Greenville is July 23rd to the 25th from 8 a.m. to sunset. It's right off exit 45 on 70. Of course, you can find out more at AmericanFarmHeritageMuseum.org. AmericanFarmHeritageMuseum.org. But it's going to be a great place for kids to learn a little something about,
Absolutely.
farming. And maybe there are people that have retired from farming and just want to think, oh, yeah, I remember those days.
I used to use one of those.
Uh-huh.
We also at the Farm Heritage Museum. There's also on the grounds there is the American Heritage Railroad. So there is a 15 gauge train that runs that anybody can ride. Little kids, adults, anybody can ride. It goes on a mile-long track around the grounds.
Wow.
It's awesome.
And,
Kiddos love it.
Yes, it's super fun. And Hills Fort will be open as well. Hills Fort is a replica built of an actual fort from 1808 that was in Bond County, which homed a lot of, in the frontiers day, the Illinois Territorial Rangers. And so in the last 10 or so years, some folks in Greenville have rebuilt that fort there at the Farm Heritage Museum, and there'll be costumed reenactors there. There's a working blacksmith shop.
Ooh.
There's a 2-story cabin they call the Blockade Building, and a couple of cabins you can explore, kids' activities there. There's going to be a flea market and a craft market. And so there is so much and so many things for every type of person at this event. I know they'll love it.
Somebody is wondering if the scoreboard company is still in
Yes,
Greenville.
Nevco, absolutely. Greenville is home to a lot of really unique businesses, and one is Nevco Scoreboards.
And so they do scoreboards for football fields and basketball.
Gymnasiums, wherever you see a scoreboard, whether it be like the Jumbotron or a
No
high school
way.
gym. A lot of those are Nevco
That's
scoreboards.
like those 4-sided ones in an arena.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, Nevco.
Yeah.
Nevco.
And just a reminder, it takes what to get to Greenville? About an hour, or is it a little closer than that? From
the
downtown
city,
St. Louis.
I would say about maybe 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
And believe it or not, on my way in today, I noticed that if some folks had realized there was some construction around Troy on 70, they've got that open right now.
Ah.
So that's pretty exciting.
Makes it easier.
Absolutely. So 70 or 270 will get you there. And yeah, we've got a lot of good eats and fun. And there's new shops that have opened in Greenville recently in the downtown area. It's a great time to visit.
It really does kind of feel like you're back in, I don't know, Mayberry a little bit. It's just, it's so
storybook.
quaint and clean, and each way you look, like I mentioned, the square, it really is a cute place. Greenville, Illinois. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing a little bit about your town and Heritage Days. Andy, are you leaving us with any little tidbits today?
Yeah, let's leave you with a nugget.
Okay.
We haven't done a sports nugget, have we?
Oh, no.
Let's do a this is a big sports area.
Yeah.
We love sports here,
Love
right?
sports.
So, Jerry Sloan, you know who that is if I mention that name? So he used to play for the Chicago Bulls back in the day. He actually coached the Utah Jazz when they played against the Bulls in the 90s
Wow.
for the championship. So he is an NBA Hall of Famer. He's from McLeansboro, Illinois.
All right. Andy never leaves us disappointed with that nugget.
I looked up Nevco,
Yeah.
was sports, speaking of sports, the
there you
scoreboard
go.
people, they did Yale's scoreboard.
He said any scoreboard.
But
Did you not believe me,
Yeah.
Joe?
I didn't know if they were regional.
I gotta tell you, I look at Jess and I just think trustworthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm
Yeah.
putting that on my resume.
Yep.
All right.
There you go.
Heidi Glaus says I'm trustworthy.
Asterisk
Right.
from Heidi Glaus.
You guys, thank you so much. Heritage Days this weekend.